So we're here today at Red River Financial's new office build that's just been recently finished. And can you talk a little bit more about how the process started when we were brought into this project, and just how everything transpired up until the point of when construction started?
Yep, so anytime we're doing a project, a client will come to us. Sometimes they'll come to us without a plan, and we'll help them with the plan process and the build process. We have clients that come to us with a plan, and then we're more involved on just the build process. In this particular case, the client came with plans drawn by Strom Architecture, a great local architect firm that we work with a lot. And
do they do commercial and residential?
Correct, they do commercial and residential.
Okay.
Yep. So we had this plan drawn by an architect. We worked with the clients on the specs, the vision they're looking for. We priced it out. After pricing it out, we had to find a couple areas to cut back in, do some value engineering.
Yep.
So we worked with both the architect firm, the clients, and worked through different ideas, different things that we could scale back, still keep the overall concept, the overall design, what they want this to feel like when our clients walk in. So we helped come up with the different things we could do to this project to make it happen and still make it feel like it's the building that they're looking for.
So one area that we feel like we can add a lot of value to our clients is being brought into a project earlier, especially in the initial design phase. Do you want to chat a little bit about that? So, at what point should we as builders be involved in that initial design process? Should we be involved at the beginning of that process or be brought in later?
What we like to tell clients, the sooner you can bring us or have us involved in a project, the better. The sooner that we can meet with the clients, understand truly what they're after, what they're trying to create, what budget they're working within. If we can be involved in those initial stages, it allows us to help give some direction, some parameters onto how we should start creating this project.
Mm-hmm. I think that bringing us into a project earlier from a builder perspective really helps to allow us to guide the architectural process, the overall direction and scope of it, so that we can get from initial design to construction faster. I think that's a real area of value that we can bring to our clients. And I think what's also interesting about us is that we actually really enjoy that process, and we would prefer, rather than plans be brought to us and be completely ready for construction, which we do projects like that as well. But I think that we as a team, we really enjoy being a part of that process, because we do add a lot of value, not only in the true construction sense, but because we do build a lot of residential and commercial projects. I think that we have a lot of unique insight into the design of these buildings themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. To kind of go off of that, a lot of times you'll see how when you have an architect involved and you have a builder involved with a client, if everybody's not on the same team and trying to work together towards the same goal, you'll often find times where the project goes way over budget or it can't move forward. And what we found out is if you can work with the right people, clients, architects, and builders, and work together and come up with what you want this to look like. Obviously we love to incorporate the ability that the architects have in design. They may not know what things cost or what products can be used to achieve their look on a certain budget. And so being able to take both of our strengths and work together allows us to kind of come up with a project that does meet the client's budget, their style, their vision, working together as a team.
Sure. Speaking of design, I think it's important to also talk about the other aspect of the design, which is the interior design. So how does that all get incorporated? Who typically brings the design element and the interior designer into the project?
The interior designer can come in multiple ways. Sometimes the clients might have one. The way that we like to do it, we partner with local interior designers, and on this project we utilized Lindsay Interiors. We like to bring them in once the project is priced out, specs are kind of put together, we have a good vision on what this building is going to look like. But we bring in the interior designers to really help us narrow down and focus on each individual element or selection that needs to be made on the project. And they just kind of take a deeper dive on, if you're picking out your paint color, you're picking out your flooring, your furniture, your blinds, your trim, there's a lot of different selections. And so working with an interior designer that can take all of those items and have that vision on like, how is this stuff going to look good when it's all put together?
Yeah.
It's something that we've learned early on is super important for your project to turn out the way that you want it to turn out, the way that the clients want it to turn out. So the earlier you can get them involved, the better. We find it best to bring them in as soon as the project budget and scope is designed.
And I think what's interesting too is, this particular building, being it's a commercial space, there's multiple tenants essentially in the same building. I think in whether it's a commercial building or a residential home with multiple clients, I think it's always a really interesting collaboration to try to get everybody's vision to meld and for it not to look like it was pieced together. So to touch on, I think it would be really interesting to hear your perspective of how, from a client perspective, whether it be residential or commercial, how do the interior designers really take all these different styles, maybe meld them together, but then to walk into a space and for it to feel cohesive?
Yeah, I think it starts with, when we bring those interior designers in, they're going to create a vision board. They're going to work with us and the clients and kind of put down on paper what this space, what we want it to look like. That can be done by getting reference images, getting different details or elements of the project that are super important for that client. Put it all down on paper, work with that and the budget and the scope, and then they're able to come up with different options that fall within the budget and also match what type of scope or what type of finish that the client's looking for.
Probably there's plenty of builders out there maybe that there's friction between interior designers and architects, but I think something that definitely sets us apart from others is that we truly enjoy working through the architectural process and also the interior design process. Try to bring a team of people together to help kind of, again, bring the whole project together. And I think because we enjoy that process, I think that we're able to put projects together that ultimately turn out.
It's something that makes us different. You have like three main components in a project. You have the architecture, the builder, interior designer, and they're all working for the client. And if you have one of those three pieces that's disengaged or they just want to do it their way, it can tend to lead to, problems, whether that's a budget problem, a schedule problem, a timing aspect. But when you can find the right people, the right companies, and you collaborate together, going after the same thing, it allows you to create something that the client truly loves. You're capturing the architectural design, the feeling of the space inside and outside. You have the builder who's able to take that and actually build it. And then you have that interior designer that brings the element of tying all those pieces together on the inside. It's something that I truly feel, once we learn that, it has allowed us to be a part of more projects and strengthen some relationships with local architects and interior designers and truly create some awesome projects.
Do you think we do a good job of helping bring architects and interior design not only into the project, but also to help coordinate all those different moving pieces to?
Absolutely. You don't want me to pick your paint color. So we know who's good at what, who has a better vision in what areas, and working together allows you to offer insight in areas that you know about, but also lean on and collaborate in areas that someone else might have a better gauge or a better handle on how that should look or how that should go together. But doing it as a team is a great way to have the best result at the end.
Just because we're talking about design, I think we should just walk through this really unique lobby space at Red River Financial. We should just talk about a couple of the features. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about this concrete polished floor?
Yep, so in the lobby here, and you walk in this building, you're gonna see a polished concrete floor. And in this case, we were kind of going for an industrial clean feel, and using a polished concrete floor allowed us to bring in a lot of different elements, tie them all together. Also it's easy to clean and lasts a long time.
What is this? Is this just called, what is the finish on this floor called?
Yep, so this is not like stained or anything. They'll come in here and do a super light polish to this, and they'll call this like a salt and pepper finish.
Okay, and then it's sealed afterwards, correct?
Correct, it's sealed, and concrete's concrete, so you're gonna get some variation. You're gonna have some spots that the concrete might stick up a little higher or lower, but they come in and polish it out. But you truly get kind of like a one-of-a-kind, a true feeling of what that floor looks like.
That's kind of what makes it so beautiful too, is just the fact that it's not all exactly the same. Because concrete by its nature is not perfect. You definitely get some different, you get some spots that have less texture, certain spots that have more, but I think that really aids in.
Absolutely, yeah. It gives you that true like natural feel. It's one of a kind. It's not like you're going and picking something and everything's gonna be perfectly the same.
Yep.
But overall, it's gonna blend very well together. But yeah, you truly get something that's unique just for your project.
I noticed how cool this tile is on the back wall of the main lobby in this space. Do you want to talk a little bit about that and the design of it? And I also noticed it's really symmetrical.
Yeah, so in here, we were looking for something that's bold, ties into some of the other wood details that we have throughout the space, but we did not want to go with wood. So we worked with our interior designers. Again, this is off of like reference images and just kind of the vision they want the space to turn into. And we found this tile. This is actually out of Italy. Another cool thing about it is it comes in 2x2 tiles, like bigger tiles. We didn't want to go with something that was too small. We want this to kind of almost be in your face, the thing that you see as soon as you walk into here.
Yep.
So each tile has obviously a pattern on it. We utilize our tile guys to lay these out in a way that all of the angles will meet up when they're tied together. Obviously, we had to do some more work inside these cabinets to follow that same feature all the way through. But it turned out to be a super cool detail that, there's a lot of texture to this. There's a lot of angles to this. There's a lot of colors to this, so it ties in with a lot of different types of wood or other finishes throughout the space. But overall, it gives you that bold design look as you walk in.
And what's really cool is that on the outside of this building, there's a lot of black features on the exterior of this building as well. And you did a really cool soffit around the perimeter of this cabinetry, but then also tied in the wood grain, which is also on the outside of the building as well. I think that's a really unique way to bring the outside into this project.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we did here, we have a soffit detail that wraps around this whole cabinetry, goes over our fireplace. And with a double vaulted space, we didn't want to bring everything all the way up the walls. So we found just a neutral spot that would allow us to put a soffit across. It gives a great spot for your cabinetry to die into, your fireplace around to die into. So overall just ties in this space together.
Yeah, it definitely helps to bring this 2-story space, which is very grand when you walk in, but it helps to bring certain elements of it down so it just doesn't feel so tall.
Yep, and then one other detail that was really cool was the ceiling in here. And what we did here was we took one of the siding products that we're using on the outside. This is a metal siding from Vesta. The color is actually called gilded grain. And so it's all the same color tone. They come in slightly different variations. So when you put them all up there, they'll end up blending together. So we actually did that on the whole ceiling in this space.
We should also just chat about this fireplace area. I can definitely tell the industrial feel with the brick and the concrete, natural wood elements of the tile, the natural wood on the ceiling. You want to talk about this fireplace a little bit. And then I also noticed the venting, which really was put in, there's a lot of thought that obviously went into that venting. So you just want to talk a little bit about that and how you incorporated the vent itself into the overall design.
Yep, so with this fireplace around, just like you said, we're going after an industrial feel. So, we worked with our interior designers, the clients. It's kind of a group effort to come up with what we wanted this to look like. We got a vision for it. What we did around here was we used just thin brick around the fireplace around. Above that, we went with a millwork detail. We kept this black. ties into a bunch of other elements in this building. And then up at top here, you'll see that vent. And that's just an option you can do with your fireplace. It's a cozy kit, and what it's doing is you still have this gas fireplace. You're still gonna get the heat from a gas fireplace. All it's doing is redirecting that heat up, comes out the top. The benefits of that are that it's gonna give you much more flexibility in your overall fireplace design. So by having the vent up here, we eliminate a lot of the tolerances we have between how close a mantle can go to a fireplace, how close a TV can go to a fireplace. It allows you to do much more detail with what you're working with.
It's taking the direct heat off the fireplace and it's redirecting it to above, correct? That's how it works?
Yep, there's just another pipe back here that gets added on, and you're just taking the heat that the fireplace produces and redirecting it up. You'll still get some heat here, but this is gonna be something that you can actually like touch. It's not gonna be super hot, especially if you have like kids or something. Like, you're not gonna have to worry about them accidentally touching the fireplace, but you're still gonna get that heat. It's still gonna come out the vent. That space is still gonna get the same heat.
And I think what's really cool about using the cozy kit of this fireplace is that if you don't want all that heat to be directed into this room, you can actually dump it into a different area. That allows you to still get the look of the gas fireplace, but a lot of people's concern is just that the fireplace is gonna make this room too hot all the time. So that would allow you to still use the gas fireplace more often and even during warmer periods of the year, but be able to dump that heat into a different room.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's times where you're dealing with a gas fireplace in a smaller space. And you turn that on, you love the look of it, you love how it operates, but you find that space gets hot real fast. So as you're saying, like, there's ways to not only direct this heat up, but dump it, whether it's outside or into a different space of the house.
Your other option as a client, obviously, you could always do an electric fireplace, and they've come a long ways in the last couple of years, but many people still want the natural look of a gas fireplace.